Hello and welcome to the Adobe online show for technical communication. Adobe FrameMaker is a tool for technical documentation, and we have just released a new version, FrameMaker 2015, and it's loaded with tons of new features. And one of the major features we have there is right-to-left support. That means you can edit right-to-left languages like Arabic and Hebrew right within FrameMaker, and it really comes with best-in-class support for these languages. And today we want to have a look at how we can translate an US English document into Arabic with memoQ from Kilgray. And for that I have invited the product manager from Kilgray. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for inviting me to record this video. My name is Gabor Ugray, and I'm product manager at Kilgray, also one of the founders of the company. So I've been here with memoQ for 10 years now. Very nice to be here.
Okay, you're welcome. Great to have you here. So let me give you a quick idea of how FrameMaker looks like, and we have prepared a sample manual that we will translate with memoQ during this online show. So what you see here on my screen now is FrameMaker 2015, and on the left side here there's a book file which contains typical components of a technical documentation. There's a cover page, so that's how it looks like. It's a user manual for a personal spaceship. And that's one of the sample guides that is shipped with FrameMaker 2015. So what we see here is, for example, the table of contents file, which is of course automatically generated in FrameMaker. And I have a legal file with several paragraphs here. And the interesting thing about these paragraphs is that they are tagged with conditional tags. We will see later for what this is good. For example, this paragraph here is tagged as the audience administrator, and this paragraph here is tagged for the audience end user. When we output this later to HTML5 output, to responsive HTML5 for an online help, we can filter the content by these tags. We have things like folders, and we have things like groups, so we can group our content there. And and can organize our content. And we have a file general description, and it comes with a small mini table of contents, which is a new feature in FrameMaker as well. So we can not only create a table of contents for the whole book, but we can also create a table of contents for the single chapter. And when we look into that, we have an interesting thing here, and that's a U3D graphic. So we can actually embed and link 3D graphics here, and can set, for example, the lightning mode for this graphic. We can set the render mode if it should be rendered solid, or the bounding box, or with shades and so on. And we can set a specific view like back, front, right, left, which is all defined in this U3D graphics, but we can also access it from here. And we have integrated a video. So that's just a normal MPEG-4 video file, and we can, in the end, output that to PDF, for example, and online helps, and actually see it there. And of course, we have an index file in this document, which is also automatically generated and based on all the index markers that we have in the document. And of course, we have a back page in our manual, which looks like that. So when I output this this document to PDF, I get a PDF file like that one. And as you can see here, it's a high quality rendered output of the FrameMaker file with the table of contents. The table of contents is of course interactive, so I can click on it and then go to this page. And I have a table of contents here on the right side. And let's go to history of flight. And then it jumps automatically to the page. And what you see here is, wow, that's actually the 3D graphic that we have in FrameMaker, and we can zoom in and zoom out and select several parts of that, and we can change the lighting here and all the magic that Acrobat offers there. And we can go, for example, to these links that I've inserted in FrameMaker and say, okay, I want to look at want to see it like that, and click actually on the text, which is a normal paragraph in FrameMaker with a hyperlink to the graphic, and say, okay, I want to see the cylinder, the crankcase, the spinner, the cylinder head, the cam housing, and so on, and then I can still switch it there. So that's pretty cool, rich media integration of 3D graphics into FrameMaker. And of course, I also have videos, so that I can even embed videos in PDF files with FrameMaker, and my reader of my document can see this video in the PDF file. So that's pretty cool. But organizing or making a technical documentation is just one part. So today we want to ship our products on a global level, and we want to address audiences in their language in all the countries and target markets that we have. So we need to talk about translation, and we need to talk about how to translate my FrameMaker document. And let's assume I don't have any idea of translation processes and CAT tools and stuff like that.
Right.
So what do I have to do as a FrameMaker author to provide files that you can process in your translation memory system?
What's really important to know is organizations and people that translate technical documentation authored in a tool like FrameMaker, it's not very efficient to actually translate in the original tool, such as FrameMaker. We have dedicated tools for that. We call these computer-aided translation tools. memoQ is such a tool. In order to translate a FrameMaker document, what we need is that document in the MIF, the MIF format. So if I'm a translation company and I'm providing my translation services to you, what I need you to do is send me that FrameMaker document as a bunch of MIF files.
Okay, I know that. MIF is the Maker Interchange format, and it's a open format that you can process in your system.
But we can actually do much better if you're using a memoQ server than sending files on a memory stick or emailing them around, because we can set up memoQ server to watch a folder, and if any files, any content shows up in that folder, it will automatically enter the translation workflow in memoQ. And to make it really nice, we set up such a folder here and connected it to Dropbox. So in this specific case, all you need to do is copy those MIF files to a Dropbox folder that I have shared with you, and it will automatically show up in a memoQ project.
Okay, but I guess that's just one possibility, so you don't have to work with Dropbox, of course.
Absolutely.
But if I want to automate this and don't want to send files around by email or FTP,
absolutely,
I can use that. So let's try that. I go to my FrameMaker book, and I just save all my files to MIF, pretty fast. And then I go to my folder, where the MIF files are, and filter that by MIF. And then I just put it into the Dropbox that you shared with me, the Dropbox folder. And now it's uploading. And a few seconds later, you should see it in your Dropbox.
Right. And just to explain what's happening right now in the background, memoQ server, which is watching this folder, picks up that Dropbox has deposited a couple of new files there, which means these files are up for translation. So it picks up those files and pre-processes them. Most important, it pre-translates them. Pre-translation is a concept in CAT tools. Every sentence that you translate, if you use a CAT tool, is stored in a database that we call a translation memory. Translation memory basically contains pairs of source language and target language sentences that you have translated in the past, so you don't need to translate them again. Right now, memoQ server is picking up these new files, it's applying the past translations. Most of it may already be translated from a previous version of the same document, and the rest is what I need to deal with right now. The automation goes a little bit farther. memoQ server also picks out translators. From my organization, I am the language service provider who's using memoQ server technology. So it has assigned each of these documents to a translator and has sent out an email notification to that translator. It can be multiple translators.
Let's have a look at how it looks like here.
Let me show you first the inbox of the translator, who will have received an email notification. There it is. It shows up coming from my memoQ server. and the email addresses me and tells me some new documents have been assigned to me, and then I see the details of these documents, and I also have various details how I can connect to that project. Now, memoQ server offers several different interfaces for the translator and the project manager. One of these is our web-based interface. Let me take you really briefly to this web-based interface. So I'm using my login as a translator to log in to memoQ server's browser-based front end. The page that loads is the page that shows my current tasks. So I see an entry here for every document that has just been assigned to me. I can click on this little statistics icon to get a really quick idea of the word count. So I know how many words there are in that document, and also how many of those have already been populated by past translations from the translation memory. I can also click any of these documents to open them in our web-based editor. The web-based editor is basically a two-column layout. You've got source text on the left-hand side, and you've got the translations on the right-hand side. Now, even though we are going from US English into Arabic here, this is a special kind of page where the content is actually not to be translated. So that's why you are saying the English in the target side.
I instructed you that it's not rocket science and your partner in space, that's our company,
Exactly, your slogans that should stay as it is.
And I said to them, please do not translate this into Arabic. But let's have a look how an Arabic file looks like in memoQ.
So next, I'm going to show you our desktop translation environment, which is memoQ. And in order to start working on this job, so in order to translate this job using the memoQ desktop translation editor, what I need to do is check out an online project. It's right there in memoQ's dashboard. I need to enter my credentials as a translator. And memoQ gives me a list of projects, basically a list of jobs which have tasks assigned to me. There's only one now. I'm going to check out this project, which downloads all the content that I need to work with to my desktop. And the really cool part is, you saw that an email notification went out. But that really is just automated communication. You don't need to send out specific files as email attachments. You don't need to send out instructions, because all of the little details that affect how the translator should work, the translator's working environment, what kind of glossaries to use and the like, they are encapsulated in the memoQ project. So what happens now is memoQ is effectively setting up a working environment for me, the translator, and all I need to deal with is double-click the document that I want to edit and start translating. So let me do that. I'm going to pick this one at the bottom. And what you see here is memoQ's translation editor. Now, this is a very repetitive job, meaning basically every single sentence in this document, except for one, has already been pre-populated from a past translation. The only one that is missing is a little bit of a formatting here. I can
is that machine translation?
Really quickly insert that here. No, this is not machine translation. So the very important thing to keep in mind is that translation environment tools like memoQ are aimed at human translators, human linguists, translators, reviewers, and they make the work of humans more efficient. Okay. They are not machine translations. We do have access to machine translation systems, either proprietary or public ones, optionally. But that is absolutely up to our customers to decide whether they want to use machine translation or not.
Okay, so that means the pre-populated sentences here are coming from this translation memory and have been translated by a human professional translator in the past.
Exactly. So these are probably, if I'm a language service provider, these are translations that translators have created for me in the past.
Okay, and I think that's a very important point, because my manual, I'm changing it from time to time. Year after year, I'm making a new release of this manual because my product has changed. And then I do not want to pay a full translation for the whole manual each year. And that's where you come in and say, okay, we have this translation memory, we store all the translations there, and then we can, when I come back next year, you can just recycle the sentences that have not changed.
You can recycle past translations, and that's definitely one very important aspect. If memoQ receives an updated version of the file, then it can really easily detect which are the parts that have changed. So I don't need to deal with all of the previous parts, which I delivered last year and you have approved. I don't really want to change those, and I can really easily spot those parts that really have changed and that I need to deal with. And another very important feature of translation environments like memoQ is that they facilitate online collaboration. So in real life, you will have, with the release of a new product like a new personal spaceship, a lot of content that you need to get translated in a very short time frame, probably into 12 different target languages. And that means you are going to be working with more than one translator for every target language. Let's say 3 translators. So that's already 36 translators. And you're probably going to have at least one reviewer working into each of those target languages. When you have more than one person working on a set of documents, it is really tricky to ensure consistency of translations. Because you might have 3 brilliant translators, but they somehow need to make sure they make the similar kinds of choices in that particular text. And what memoQ does, basically all of the participants in the projects, all of the linguists can see in real time, sort of Google Documents fashion, what everybody else is editing and what everybody else is translated. So this is basically, I believe, the only way to ensure consistency if you have more than one person working in parallel on the same set of documents.
Because they can all use the same corpus.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we see the English text on the left, and we see the Arabic translation on the right, and it's all completely pre-translated because it was recycled from the translation memory. And what happens now?
What happens now, as a translator, I need to confirm my translations. That is, I'm just going to confirm everything here in one go. Instead of using shortcuts, let me use the menu for that. This is basically a progress indication. I'm done with this part already. Even if it was populated from a translation memory, I probably still need to take a look at these translations as a human. And then I need to indicate by pressing a button that is labeled Deliver that I'm done with all of my work. And this triggers a workflow status change in the online project. Because in this particular project, there is no reviewer working after me. So for the sake of simplicity, the way I set this project up, it's only ever one translator. What happens once the translator is done, the whole workflow of the document is completed. And at this stage, another set of automated actions is triggered. memoQ server recreates this content in the original format, which was the MIF file, because FrameMaker cannot really do anything with this really nice looking 2-column grid that you see in our tool. It has exported that file into that particular folder. Dropbox has picked it up, and it has arrived already on Stefan's screen.
So I have this folder translated, and there's a subfolder Arabic for Saudi Arabia, and I see my MIF file, which comes right out of your system.
It comes right out of our system.
Yeah, and that's cool. We did not really send any files through email, so it's just popping up in my Dropbox, and I see, wow, cool, it's translated. You're done with your job, and so let's have a look how this file looks like in FrameMaker. It should be Arabic now. Wow, it's Arabic.
It looks Arabic,
cool.
but shouldn't it be right-aligned?
That's the point, yeah. So it should be actually right-aligned, but currently it's still the same layout as that I had in my English file. So you see there's not really a difference in terms of flipping the content.
Right.
And this would not work for an Arabic audience and for an Arabic layout. I have to flip it. And that's where the magic in FrameMaker 2015 comes into game. What I can do now is I can use a magic flip in FrameMaker to make my document right to left. And that's really the cool thing about that. So I go to Format, Document, Direction, and say it should be right to left. And FrameMaker will now automatically flip the whole layout to right to left. And I see everything's on the, my paragraphs are starting on the right side and flowing probably to the left.
Bullet point lists.
The bullet point
on
lists
the right-hand side.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and the company logo and the background from the master page, everything flipped. And the engine is even intelligent enough to know what can be flipped and what should not be flipped. Like, let's assume I have a a photograph of my machine or my medical device or whatever. And of course, these pictures must not flip. They should stay that way. They are originally intended. And yeah, now I have a complete right-to-left document. And another magic is when I go to default is or to numberings there for, let's say, the paragraph numberings. In FrameMaker 2015, we have a lot of new numbering systems, building blocks, we call them in FrameMaker. So I can not only use my Western numbering, I can also use Chinese, Japanese numbering systems, Korean numbering systems, and I can even use, for example, Indic numbering or Farsi numbering or Hebrew numbering or Abjad or Alif Batan. So I can use for page numberings, for auto-paragraph numberings, I can even use these specific numbering systems of these languages. So what I do in the end is, let me close this a little bit. I can go to my Arabic, where is it? I think it's that, where the full set of files is. And I open this book in FrameMaker. And I say, convert all my MIFs to FrameMaker. And it converted all my MIF files back to .fm, FrameMaker files. And, oops. And now I can open my files. And FrameMaker even does, with this magic flip, let's say, document direction right to left. Of course, I only have to do this once for each document. And I also can flip it back to left to right, of course. And now even my tables are flipped from left to right, from left to right to right to left. And even my paragraph language is set to Arabic now. And I have an additional tab here now where I can explicitly change the direction of the paragraph. Let's say I have mixed content of English sentences, and then maybe one paragraph in English, one paragraph in Hebrew, one paragraph in Chinese in one document. And I can use this to explicitly say this is a left to right paragraph or this is a right to left paragraph. Let me show you another nice thing in FrameMaker, and that's our publish pod. We can export our FrameMaker documentation to responsive HTML5. We can create mobile apps for Android phones and iOS phones. We can produce classic web helps. We can even produce an epub or a Kindle or a Microsoft CHM file. But let's have a look at the responsive HTML5 output. And it's really easy as 1, 2, 3, click. I have a look at my output here. And this is how my responsive HTML5 online help looks like now. I have, similar to the PDF that you saw, I have my navigation here. I can click through it. I even have my video here. Yeah, so all these rich media integration is there as well. I have navigation systems and can jump through the pages. I can make a printout. And at the beginning, you saw these conditional tags for the administrator and the end user. And that's something new as well. We have what we call dynamic content. So let me select, let's say, the legal page. And I have here, any user must read the manual before operating a new vehicle. But where's my administrator paragraph that I had in my FrameMaker document? That's dynamic content filtering. So I can say, okay, now I want to switch the manual to the administrator and say, okay, and I hide the end user, and then I see all the paragraphs that are targeted for the administrator. And what makes this responsive is that I can display this online help in more or less any on any device. I have a big screen on my PC here, but what happens when I resize that, like that, for example, let's say an iPad or so, or if I change it even smaller, it gets like this, and I can switch in the navigation and switch out the navigation, and so that's what the whole online help adapts to the screen that we actually have. yeah, so, and does this also work for Arabic? Of course it does. So when I even output my Arabic online help, let's say output Arabic. And I just edit the setting. I'd say now it should become Arabic. And I regenerate my Arabic user manual. And voila, I have a right to left online help. And even the navigation moved to the right. And I can go in there. And of course, also the content filtering works. Yeah, so that's a full workflow that we can do here. I have my FrameMaker document to sum it up. I just put the MIF files into the Dropbox. It automatically pops up in your system in memoQ, and it goes through the translation workflow into Arabic. And you can use professional human translators or machine translation to translate the content. And then you just export the translated MIF files back to the Dropbox, and it appears in my system. So that's a complete smooth workflow that we can show here. And yeah, I think that's a pretty cool solution.
And I think I need to add that this is a very special release. Adobe FrameMaker adds support to right-to-left languages in Adobe FrameMaker 2015.
Yes, that's a new
At
release.
just about the same time, we have released memoQ 2015, and the two tools basically sim-ship support for each other. So because Adobe reached out to us a couple of months ago, we have been able to make sure that we added support for the new features in FrameMaker even as they were in development. So the two products can really be released at just about the same time, and memoQ adds support to these new FrameMaker features.
Yeah, that's the new technology partnership that we have, where we try to involve companies like you to come up with filters for the latest FrameMaker releases right when we ship our product to the market, and you support it right from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, and that's memoQ and Kilgray is very agile in that, and you were very fast, and I think you were the first one who came up with that. Okay, Gabor, thank you very much for showing us a quick, giving us a quick idea of memoQ and how it works and how smooth such a translation workflow can go. Thanks you for watching, and see you next time.
Thank you.